the rustle of grass, the clatter of hoofs, the whistle of string, and the whiff of a steppe wind that fell into a hollow stem. All these sounds that surrounded our ancestors. Listening, people learned to play them, inventing a variety of musical instruments. Mobile, lightweight, and convenient for nomadic life. It's a project about musical instruments created by the great nomadic civilization. A true Kazakh is not a Kazakh himself, but his Dombra. This phrase from the poem of the national writer of Kazakhstan, co-author of the country's first national anthem, Kadir Mirzaliyev, immediately became a well-known phrase. It conveyed the attitude of the people to one of the main symbols of the steppe culture. Dombra was very convenient to transport in a felt bag, hitched to a saddle or hung on his shoulder wherever a nomad went. You can play it on horseback, in a yurt, and in the wide steppe, even while lying down, even standing, in any position. So it was a favorite instrument of our ancestors. The nomadic people had a special attitude to music. It is needed not only for entertainment, but also for communication, support, expression of their thoughts. Dombra did not play, it sang, spoke, told stories. Many tales and parables have been preserved about during the time of Khans, who were quick to kill those who brought bad news. Only the right instrument saved the one who dared to inform the Khan about misfortune. When the news of the death of his son was brought to Genghis Khan, the Dombra utters the words, "Your son Jochi Khan died." And when the Khan wanted to punish the messenger for the bad news, the man objected that he did not open his mouth, and the Dombra brought the news about grief. Therefore, the Lord ordered the messenger to be sent to the island of Barsakelmes, from where no one had returned yet, and to be torn to pieces by the dragon. Then the messenger asked to leave him a Dombra. Once at the entrance to the dragon's lair, the poor fellow began to beg the monster to spare him. And then he cried like that. This is an excerpt from the cue of the famous composer Ketbuga. Perhaps only native speakers can hear words and sentences in the overflow of Dombra strings. But the music is universal. To appreciate the beauty of the sound of this instrument, it is not necessary to know any of the Turkic languages. After all, they listen to Dombra with their hearts. The same sounds were heard in the steppe for not just centuries, but millennia ago. The exact age of the Dombra is difficult to determine, but its history goes back to times about which only stones can tell. The history of Dombra goes back centuries. Evidence of this is the cave paintings that depict this instrument or objects similar to it. One of these stones, with the image of the Dombra, is stored in our museum. The exhibit is called Dancers Around the Dombra. This stone belongs to the Bronze Age. In 2008, in one of the caves of the Mongol Altai upland, Jargalant Kayarkan, a unique Dombra was found, which as scientists have found is 1500 years old. It was recognized as the oldest stringed musical instrument in the world. Kazakh scientists believe that the find has a 90% similarity with the Kazakh Dombra and the Tuvan Ikel instrument. The artifact was given the name Ata Dombra, what translates as the father of Dombra.
Ол кезде 6 ғасырда Алтайда біздің енді бабаларымыз тұрды. Ол кезінде түріктің бірінші қағанаты.
Then our ancestors lived in the Altai. These are the times of the Turkic Khaganate. From there we all came. I have in my hands an exact copy of the musical instrument found in that cave. The original is now in the National Museum in Ulaanbaatar. Its neck is a little curved. It is deformed over many centuries. The top of the Dombra is made in the animal style, so common among the Sakas, in the shape of the head of a horse or deer. Images of animals and inscriptions are written on the case with the Turkic runic script. One of them says, "I enjoyed the fragrant music." Another ancient instrument was found in a nomad settlement near the city of Saratov. This find dates from the era of the Golden Horde, 13-14 centuries. Instrument fragments are similar in shape to a dombra. Of course, the instrument was not found in its entirety. We judge by the remains of the case, but subsequently restorers worked on the instrument. This instrument had a notch on the case, so it could be a kobus, because we know that it was made with such a notch. They covered the case with leather, so it could be both kobus and dombra. The original of this instrument is stored in Saratov today. A copy from the master, who worked here as a restorer in the 80s of the last century, is on display in our museum. All these are ancient instruments that differ markedly in form and sound from the modern dombra. Today it looks larger and gives a brighter sound. Through the centuries, this instrument has come down to us in two equally common forms. In the west of Kazakhstan, a drop-shaped dombra is used. It has a round case, which narrows to the neck. And for example, in Jetesu, they use both a drop-shaped and a quadrangular dombra. In central Kazakhstan, mainly tools in the form of a shovel. Asima Imangalieva has been creating musical instruments for over 30 years. She is the only woman in Kazakhstan, a master in the manufacture of dombra. It is worth noting that, in this case, Asima is a multiple winner of the Republican competitions of masters of musical instruments. Dombra is the most common instrument there are always orders. The craftswoman most often makes a classical, teardrop-shaped dombra. Despite modern technologies and materials, the main work is still done manually. Therefore, patience and skill are important here. The first step is to prepare a suitable shape for the dombra and cut the bar. For example, this is a neck of a dombra. Here in the center there should be a solid tree. If it is wet, the neck will bend. Here you can see that in the middle is a solid wooden stick. Now we assemble the case. It can consist of 7 arcs. In this case, we divide here into 7 parts, or 9 if we have 9 arcs. We have a finished neck. Now I will collect everything in one form. In order for the dombra to last a long time, the neck is traditionally made from hardwood, maple, pine, or walnut. tear-shaped case is cut out of them. Wooden petals, 2–2.5 millimeters thick, are bent using special equipment. In order to bend the pedal, it is necessary to moisten our wood blanks. Next, to absorb moisture, put them under the press of the desired shape. If it does not absorb, the tree will simply break. To avoid this, you need to process the tree, bend it in a special furnace, and only then can be installed. Arcs are set in pairs, like this. The housing can consist of 7 or 9 arcs at the request of the customer. All parts are fastened with glue, after which the Dombra is left to dry for 1 day. Next comes the deck. The Dombra casing is closed, with a small hole in the central part, which also has several versions of legends about its origin. According to one of them, Genghis Khan, hearing the news of the death of his son from the sounds of Dombra, ordered the instrument to be executed. He ordered to fill the Dombra with hot lead, from which this trace remained on the deck. However, the practical benefit of this part lies in improving the acoustic properties of the instrument. This resonant hole, necessary for transmitting air vibrations when playing from the hollow part of the body to the outside. The thickness of the deck also plays an important role in sound extraction. Our deck is not whole. It usually consists of 4 parts. Sometimes it can be of 3 or 5. It depends on the type of Dombra. When making a Dombra, the mood of the master is important. If you start work in frustrated feelings, things will move poorly. Usually, if the start of work went smoothly, nothing broke, then it would continue in an easy way. And if something breaks at the very beginning, then you get nervous. They say that the master's mood is transmitted to the instrument, and through it to the musician and to people who come to listen to him. In addition, each Kazakhstan master has his own style, according to which other professionals recognize his work. It can be a special pattern, thread on the head of the neck, or even an orthograph. Dombra has long and firmly occupied a place of honor not only in the house of every Kazakh, but also on the stage. It sounds the same in solo and in neighborhood with other national instruments. The ethno-folklore ensemble Turan combines a modern Dombra with ancient folklore instruments.
Она действительно может выразить не только историческую какую-то составляющую, она может
It really can express not only some historical component, it can also express a very strong-willed character, which is necessary in our music. In the Turan ensemble, we use about 4 or 5 types of Dombra.
То есть это сама Домбра западного региона, каплевидная Домбра.
That is, it is the Dombra of the western region itself, a drop-shaped Dombra, an exact copy of Abay Kunanbayev's Dombra. Then we use Dombra, which was once made specially for small children according to historical data. It's called Shinkeldeg, that is, squeaking Dombra.
Тарихы терең мәні бар, би төресі сәні бар, атамыздың қаны бар, анамыздың әні бар. Бұлтылдатып билесек, тәуелсіз ұрпақ жөні бар. Қалайық, қара жорға билейік.
Қара жорға болмаса, бидің сәнен келеме, өзіді көйлек кимесе, қыздың сәнен келеме, осын барлық деме, қан тарасын денеге, басыңызда жаттанып, қара жорға билеп.
In Kazakh instrumental music, Dombra works are the most developed direction. More than 10,000 kui for Dombra have been preserved. These works have a more complex structure, divided into styles and schools. In general, according to the style of performance, kui are divided into two large directions, tokpe and shertpe. Shertpe style pieces are played by busting strings, calmly, slowly. But tokpe, as the name says, is a kui that pours. It is performed energetically, without stopping. These two styles developed in different regions of Kazakhstan, and the use of instruments of different shapes is associated with this. For example, kui shertpe are widespread in the Sararka region, Jetusu, in eastern Kazakhstan, where a shovel-shaped dombra is used for this, and the birthplace of the tokpe style is considered to be western Kazakhstan, where, as in the south of the country, they use teardrop dombra more. It is worth noting that within these areas, individual styles developed. History has preserved the names of many famous composers, kuishi, whose name is now used to name certain styles of playing the dombra. For example, prominent representatives of the direction of tokpe, Davletkere, Kazangap, and of course, Kurmangazy. Known as the father of the kui, the National Conservatory in Kazakhstan is named after him. Kurmangazy's works are very powerful. If you listen to Sararka, Serper, Balbraun, powerful ones. Now look at the kuis of Davletkere. He lived in the Bukeyev horde, a descendant of Genghis Khan. This is reflected in his kuis. They are more majestic, melodic. See, here for example the works of Kazangap.
Қазанғаптың күйлерін алып қарасаңыздар, мен кейде айтар едім, бұл кәдімгі мынау сопылық
I would say that he is similar to the Eastern thinkers of the Middle Ages who wrote Rubai. I can safely compare it with them, because in his works there is a deep inner philosophy. See, this is a completely different school. The same variety is found in the East Kazakhstan school of kui shertpe. In general, the color and content of kui is limited only by the imagination of the composer composing the work. Dombra always reflected either inner feelings or the world surrounding the musician. Therefore, even today performance often turns into a show with imitation of animal sounds and juggling Dombra. Dombra has very wide possibilities for improvisation. During the playing, you can turn the Dombra like this, tap on the body, or do it like this. This is all done to decorate the composition, to convey the sounds of animals and show all the possibilities of the instrument. All these methods of performance, as well as the history of Dombra and Kui, are taught in music schools. Here even the juniors are taught the secrets of various genres, how to improvise on a Dombra during a song contest, aitis, to perform instructive works, terme, and even compose your own, like real poets-composers, Joly. Having a rich history and musical heritage, Dombra finds its place in modern art. The cover band made in KZ has been active for 2 years now. Musicians make Kui arrangements in a contemporary style and perform world hits on Dombra. The idea itself arose a very long time ago, at a time when I did not even know how to play Dombra, when I was engaged in DJing.
Тогда хотелось что-то новое, именно какой-то не то что даже эксперимент, а хотелось вот сделать что-то интересное.
Then I wanted something new, not like an experiment, but I wanted to do something new, something interesting, but using our national instruments. I always loved listening to Dombra. I always liked the sound and wanted to combine this with modern sound.
Ну, короче, условия, понял же, да? А потом да-да, и второй раз там пошло на-на-на-на-на.
Fascinated by this idea, the creator of the group Baojan enrolled in Dombra courses and began to experiment, picking up his favorite chords on 2 strings. The idea of making an instrumental cover for world hits has been hatched for several years. After all, you can play completely different music on a Dombra. You can play Kui, you can also play something of world music. For example, I don't know, a fragment from Sting.
Фрагмент из Стинга там. Ну, в таком духе, допустим.
The art of performing Kuis is included in the UNESCO Intangible Heritage List as an ancient form of creativity, self-expression in Kazakh culture. Dombra is the embodiment of the spirit of the Kazakh people, an instrument with which they did not part either before the battle or after it, nor during the roaming and especially the holidays.